All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Autonomy Podcast. And today I am welcomed by my dear client, Shiva. How are you, man?
Hey, Jody. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm really appreciate you doing that on a Friday morning as well for you coming from the gym. So,
Straight from the gym. Then after this, off to a nice healthy lunch. So, yes,
yeah, what a way to start your day, right?
absolutely.
Man, awesome. Really pleased to have you here and really happy really with your progress. And I wanted you to be on this episode to also share your progress and motivate other people as well to follow your course as well. So tell me, Shiva, how do you feel so far after a few months with Autonomy now? We started, I think, back in almost November. So 3-4 months now we are together. So how do you feel?
Feel wonderful. So I think there have been several things that I'm in the middle of the program. First of all, we'll talk numbers first. Weight-wise, I know we have audience all over the world. I'm American, so I'll say it in pounds. Roughly 15 pounds dropped. And the other thing has been understanding what to eat and having the diet that is both works with me. I don't have a ton of dietary restrictions. I do eat chicken and all that, but also being from my background, from Indian background, whatever, and that, hey, there are certain things that we eat that I can still have, but moderate it with other things. And also the other part where Jody has been great, it's one thing to say, hey, go work out, but having these very specific workouts prepared for me based on the feedback that I gave Jody as far as, hey, go lift, do these exercises, do it. And in my case, I was working out before, but we added a few exercises that were newer for me. But each week with the Autonomy app, tracking what I'm doing and seeing it, go up in terms of the weight or the reps. Not always. I mean, sometimes you're going to have to build up, or you had a week off. Like this past week, I was away for a couple days and do that.
Yeah.
But seeing the progress, having the support, weighing in each morning, having the accountability. And once in a while when you fall short, he's like, hey, no, you're going to get right back on and do it again. And when you are doing well, which for me has been most of the time, not all of it, having the encouragement. It's really been a great journey, have more energy. And for me, the one thing was that I think I was never super heavy, but I always had more belly fat, which a lot of you can probably relate to from our background. I have seen that in front of me thin because I take photos each week and send it to my coach here and do all that. And I'm seeing it happen and now sort of getting ready for a final push over the next couple months to really tighten that part up and then just keep defining the muscles. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
That's awesome to hear, Shiva, and really appreciate your nice words. But also you having that drive and dedication is really what makes this work. You can put strategies and options and tasks to do, but when you have the drive and motivation, this is how you make them work actually. So speaking about that, Shiva, actually interested to know, like losing 15 pounds now, how do you feel your strength is when you go to the gym now?
So that's the very interesting thing because Jody kind of was like, oh, you're going to be stronger or lifting more. And I'll be honest with you guys, in my head, I was like, wait, how am I going to lose this much weight? And I could still go and do more weight. It didn't make sense because you always hear the heavier you are, the more you lift. And probably, with certain amount of muscle, that may be true. But the thing is, I am hitting on every single category. I am lifting more than I ever have. Doesn't matter if it's bench press, squats, leg press, where I'm over 500 pounds. That's like 250, over 250 kgs, whether it's the bicep curls. I am hitting the highest numbers that I ever have lifted in any of these. And sometimes I can feel it. But yet the funny thing is I'm lighter in terms of weight than I've been certainly any time in the last probably 10 years, if not longer. Yet in spite of being lighter weight, I'm lifting more weight, which is not what I expected because usually you're like, wait, you got to have the American football player kind of build if you're going to lift more weight and do it. But I'm seeing that I'm sitting there and doing the bench press and pushing and doing it. And the thing I like is that we've been changing it up. Initially, Jody was like, first couple months, hey, let's get you 10 to 12 reps. Now each week we were like, hey, do one where maybe you can only do 4 to 6 of them, but it's a heavier weight, and then add it with 2. And so now I'm learning that, which builds a muscle because you're lifting a heavier weight. And so sometimes I'd be annoyed with myself. I'd be like, oh, why didn't I lift 10 or 12? But he pointed out, he's like, well, you're lifting a heavier weight, so you have to build up to it. But yeah, I'm lifting more, which I did not expect. And I think the diet's playing a role too, because I am getting more protein and a little bit less of the not so good carbs, and that's helping for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting how the quality of the calories that we are eating determines amounts of energy we have for the day, right?
Oh yeah, it completely does. And see, I was fortunate that I don't want to say this works for everyone. I don't eat breakfast. I do intermittent fasting, and I've been doing that for several years, and that's what I'm used to. But being conscious during lunch and dinner of, hey, certain things like, look, we are people, like we love our bread and our rice, and I love it too, the bread more. I'm not saying not to never have it, but cutting back on that and then yet having other tasty stuff and putting it really gave you higher calories and better content of it, more protein, and I think that's helping. I'm certain that a big part of my strength is coming from the diet because it was never like, I wasn't per se lazy when I would work workout before. I just didn't have the strength because the nutrition coming in was not quite what it needed to be.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned as well, because I remember like when you first started, you telling me I haven't had breakfast in years and I'm good with that. And it's always a fine line between like skipping a meal and coming to that next meal and having the urge to overeat. So how did you feel like that worked with you with the strategy that we have set together as well?
I think it's worked very well because you raised that concern and I think it was a good one. I had gotten used to not eating for 14 to 16 hours. So continuing that work, because I do have an afternoon snack, not every day, but having the snack option makes sure I hit the calories. And in my case, I chose to add on, which I'm doing now because I'm lifting, to add on certain very healthy protein like shake or powder that'll help. Now everyone has their own thing with that, but I let Jody know that I was good with doing that. So for me, I think it's worked well. Now, the whole thing about skipping a meal, I will say this. Once in a while, I go one meal a day. I just have the urge to do it. You detox the body, you do it. And I've told Jody, and he pointed out, well, look, you're going to eat more. And there is truth to that. Even if I would go to the salad bar at Whole Foods here in LA and I'd be grabbing a bunch of chicken breast and fish and some nice veggie and maybe throw a tiny bit of pasta this, the quantity I ate was so much because I hadn't eaten in 22 hours that sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have lost weight. And then a couple times I'd come back and be like, oh, the weight went up because I consumed so much. And then I looked at the photo that I sent Jody and I'm like, yeah, I definitely consumed well over the 1,800 calories today. So I would tell anyone, know what works for you. It's probably better for me, I've now realized. Once in a while to reset the body, I'll have the one meal a day. And if I bump up a tiny bit on my kilo, I'm okay with it because I do it. But on a regular basis, I'd say if you're used to 3 meals, stick with 3. Otherwise, stick with 2 like I do. Yeah, that's probably better for you.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. So let me ask you this, Shiva. What did you feel like you have struggled with before joining Autonomy? What was the moment for you to decide, what, I need to do something, I need to drop the weight, I need to get healthier?
I never really had body image issues, except I would say to myself, I said, you're lifting weight, you're taking time out of your day, you're doing this, and you are getting results as far as relatively broad shoulder, but I'm like, especially your midsection is always remaining the way it is. And I said, what is it that is causing this? And I suspected part of it was genetic, and a lot of UC family or friends, depending on who, some people might always be carrying that. So is there a genetic component to it? Almost certainly. But in my case, I said, you know what? Your genetics also doesn't mean that it's your destiny, because I also have friends who share my general genetics and even are from the same part of India as me. I have 1 or 2 who are in very, very good shape and don't have that. And I said, okay, they're obviously doing something differently in what they're eating or what they're consuming and what their metabolism is. So that was what prompted me, was mainly that. I wasn't sure because people would always say the weight wise. My weight, which was 164 or 163 in pounds, for my height, which is 5'10" and a half, for a certain body type, that would be fine. But for our body type, where maybe sometimes the muscle mass was a little bit less, 163, 164 probably meant you had less, versus getting down to the weight I am now is being the optimal weight and then having the strength to where you're really not putting on fat at that weight. So for me, it was mainly the midsection thing. And I also suspected that I'm like, do I really know how to eat? I mean, I'm fortunate to come from a family that are wonderful cooks and they eat relatively healthy, but I'm like, there's something missing that I didn't know. And having someone kind of tell me who understands my sort of genetics a little bit and my kind of diet or where I come from. I lost 10 pounds before I worked with these guys and had some great help, but I don't always think that it quite understood. Like certain types of food have more flavor. Like Indian food, like we have flavor, man. We like spice and something, and I need some flavor. I love that. I love my Middle Eastern food, my Mexican food. And so I need a little bit of flavor, and having very bland meals, which I did before when I was trying to lose weight, ultimately made it ineffective in the long run because I couldn't sustain that. Versus here, I'll do things like, hey, I'm having this, like Jody knows because he sees the same meal regularly. It'll be a bunch of these delicious veggies and then maybe some eggs or some chicken breast. And then for my carb portion, I'll have a little bit of the chole, like the beans, or the saag paneer, which is spinach with a tiny bit of cheese. And that's something that I really enjoy and is flavorful. Not a lot of it. It gets a carb portion and some healthy carbs, and you're good to go. So yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic to hear as well. Like, finding that fine tuning that kind of works for us as well, so that it keeps you consistent. Like consistency comes from sustainability. Like, if something's sustainable, you're more than likely going to be consistent with it, right?
Correct. And that was the thing, because like you would tell me when I would have too much, Jody knows this meal that I would get. It would be some chicken, like shawarma, and then like salad. And then now it used to be I'd go get the hummus and eat the bread. Now I get the chicken breast, and often I'll grab the 2 sides will be salads, like some eggplant salad and then another salad. And just doing that alone is so healthy. Or if I did have the hummus, I'll be like, hey, let's just moderate the portion a bit and have a smaller amount. So it's not like you never eat anything that you like. You absolutely do. And Jody even told me once in a while I was making progress. I said, hey, I'm meeting up with some family and I'm going to go to this restaurant. And he looked and said, okay, well, you're eating this really healthy thing for lunch. You're having this. He's like, yeah, dinner, if it's going to be a little more carb heavy and a little less protein, like go ahead and do it. It's not not like you're going to completely stop eating anything you like. It's not that at all.
Actually, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Shiva, because like food is not in the kitchen nowadays. We want to go out and enjoy our time, order takeout sometimes. This is part of our lifestyle, so having that variety and flexibility certainly makes that more enjoyable.
That was really important for me to have that accommodation, because before it was, Jody even would say, hey, if you're going to this restaurant, send it to me a day before and I'll look. And early on, I mean, I still do, but early on, especially the first couple months, I was doing that a lot because I needed that guidance. Because professionally, I'm an attorney and I run my own law firm, my own business, and I'm just an outgoing guy in general. So if someone's just like, prepare all your meals at home, I don't have that luxury because I do need to go out and meet people and generate business and be on the road and do those things. But these guys were very understanding of it and teaching me how can I go somewhere and eat the right, good, healthy food and still commit to what I need to do for my business, because that was important and that's been really good. And I've learned a certain, I had a friend of mine who I work with on cases. He was suggesting this place that's like very kind of junk food. And I said, hey man, I said, you know what? On a different day, I would love to go there, but I'm just changing up some things with the diet. So why don't we go to this place across the street? They still have some junk food options for him, but they have healthy stuff for me. So I've been learning how to do that and accommodate it, which is helping, because it's only realistic being out in the world that I am going to go out to eat. Once in a while, I am going to order something. I do cook at home, but I'm also going to do that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, certainly it changes our mindset when we are on a journey. And these are things that you kind of take for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? It's not only for a dieting phase, but you also learn techniques that you can utilize on your journey as well going forward, right?
Absolutely. And it's being able to carry that forward. Like, one of the big breakthroughs for me was I started this program, and for the Canadians, I mean American Thanksgiving, because I know you guys do Thanksgiving at a different time than us. I started this program 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and I was going out of the country for a wedding for Thanksgiving weekend. And so I was going there and I'm going to be eating some good food and doing that. But I was very particular and conscious, even though I didn't have the full equipment, stayed in a nice hotel, went and lifted, was getting my steps in. And yeah, I indulged myself. I mean, big Indian wedding, the night of the wedding itself, I did eat everything, I'll be honest. But when I came back, I basically was at the same weight or even slightly lower than I was when I went. And Jody was like, this is good. You figured out when you travel how to make it work and how to do that. And for me, that was a breakthrough, because I'm like, oh, vacation or going on a trip doesn't mean that I have to put on weight. But it also doesn't mean that I'm never going to enjoy the food. Like, I wasn't going to go to the wedding and not eat some of the stuff, but I was able to balance it with what I did the rest of the day. Had a really healthy lunch. And when I left and did that, got even more steps in because I wasn't going to eat as healthy. So it's about balancing those things so you can live your life, but still keep your health.
It's an interesting point, actually, Shiva, because a lot of people who want to start on a health journey, they will, okay, I'm going to do it after Thanksgiving. I'm going to do it after this trip. But actually, if you say that, then those trips are going to come in the future. Thanksgiving is going to come next year. So you want to know how to deal with it. Yeah, exactly.
Jody, it's funny because Jody and before that, Nathan, when I had the initial conversation, I had brought up the exact same thing. And I'm certain that these guys must hear it every single day. And it wasn't a sales thing. They just said, look, we're happy to start in December if that's what you prefer, or January. It's not a big deal. But Nathan made a point, and then Jody made the point again, was, hey, doing it now and getting it going is going to teach you, because the truth is, as long as I'm around, Diwali's going to be here, and Navratri's going to be here, Thanksgiving's going to be here, Christmas for those who celebrate is going to be here, Eid, Ramadan, all these things, they're all going to be there. If we pretend like, oh, I'm just going to do it in the middle of the summer when I have free time, I'm going to eat healthy. What happens? People, I used to live on the East Coast like some of you guys in New York. What happens when you're in New York or in Canada and Toronto and it's the winter? And yeah, you can go to the gym, but you're really going to get your steps in indoors because it's freezing outside. You have to calibrate for those things, because everyone eats more during the winter if they live in those climates and that. So for me, learning that was the key, because Thanksgiving, Christmas, and look, I'll be honest, I came back from Christmas, I'd put on the day of whatever, I'd put on a little bit of weight, but that's when Jody was like, hey, okay, don't worry about it. Get back to your eating and get back to your lifting and your steps. And I hadn't put on that much weight because the steps were going on even if I didn't lift for a couple of days because I was out of town. So that's what happens. It's about balancing it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about the balance of what activity I'm putting in versus how much I'm eating as well. Yeah. So yeah, that leads me to my next question, Shiva, is that obviously like you've tried things before. You mentioned like you've lost weight before and like you tried different things before. So what did you feel like strategies that you have learned so far with autonomy that you did not know about before joining or trying something else?
Okay, there's a few. So I'll start with the workout part, because there's multiple legs to the chair, as they say, right? The workout part. So I knew a number of different exercises, but I don't think I was as whole body. In fact, I've had friends joke with me when I was carrying a little bit extra weight. They're like, dude, you have like good, decent size like biceps or like shoulders. And I'm like, yeah, I would push on those. And in general, strength for me in that upper part of the body around here came a little more easily. So I would focus on that. I was not doing as much legs, some, but I was not doing as much. And definitely back, I was not hitting as much as I should. And I came to realize that part of the weight loss and the belly fat loss would be around strengthening the back, strengthening that, combined with the weight loss so that the midsection gets it. So I think the whole body of knowing, hey, let's do these. And also, I would do push-ups, but I wouldn't do as much of like, okay, the planks and the bird dog and all those exercises, which are strengthening the core. So that's one thing I learned. Also, I would often do 4 or 5 sets of an exercise versus now, here I do a wider range of exercises, but only 3 sets. Obviously, some of you who your program in autonomy might be different. I'm sure the coaches do different things for everyone. But mine was, hey, do this variety of exercises with 3 sets, which was good because I felt like what I've learned now is, okay, just now, I'll use the example of right now. I went and did the squat, okay? So I'm at the squat rack. I did the squat 3 sets. And then I said, okay, I was working the lower body. I was working the legs, all that. Okay, cool. Now let's go do the barbell bench press and work that part. So I've learned in a given workout, I'm not just hitting one part, which I used to do. I'd be like, oh, today's leg day or today's back, today's shoulder day. But dude, if you do like 4 shoulder exercises in a row, you're going to wear yourself down and what you get done is not going to be the same. Versus here, I have a variety within the exercise all the way from chest and bicep down to my legs and some back. And I'm switching them around so that different body parts are getting a rest. That's one. Now diet, I think one was I started looking at labels and calories more and realizing a lot of these snacks and processed foods, which I still love, I'll be honest. Once a week, my little Indian snacks, the murka, you guys know what I'm talking about. Once a week, I'm going to have a few bites of it, okay? And I do, and I'm able to because of the way we are in the program. All right, that stuff is amazing, or sriracha sauce, whatever. But overall, cleaning up the diet, having the accountability of being like, hey, eat a little bit of less, do this, a little more of that. And those of you who live in the United States especially, you know that the US, there's one thing there's not a lack of is you go out to eat and the amount of food they throw at you. Like eating healthy here is hard, but eating a lot is not. You could go anywhere and they're going to throw a ton of food at you. This is the way it is. Not your family, like go to a restaurant. So learning to control the portions a little bit. And that applies even with protein, because I'll tell you one thing, like I love my chicken, okay? And I would have it, it's very healthy. The meal I mentioned earlier with Jody, the 2 salads and the chicken shawarma, chicken breast, that restaurant would throw more than the even daily intake of chicken that I need on that plate. And I see it and I'm like, this is so good. I just want to grab and eat all of it. But I learned after the first time, I'm like, just because the restaurant, nice Lebanese restaurant, just because he's putting all this on there doesn't mean that I have to sit there and eat every bite of it. I can put some of it away, leave it. Or even if I want to take a to-go box and another day, if I'm having a different meal with my salad, I can have some more of this chicken I like. So learning those things and learning to estimate a little better has been helpful. Because when you cook for yourself, you can measure things and do it more. But in my case, 40% of the week, 50% of the week is going to be going out and eating somewhere or my family. So I'm like, how do I improve that? And that's what I learned. And the last part is the steps, because I love to walk. I love to be outside, but I was not consistent about, I live in Los Angeles, like the New York people, maybe Toronto, you guys take the subway. I don't do that over here. I don't mess with the public transport, but sometimes I'll walk here, I'll walk there to gym. And I used to drive to the gym. I'm like, well, and my gym is like 0.8 miles a mile from me. I'm like, why am I freaking driving to the gym when I'm trying to get exercise? Now I walk to the gym, I walk back. And today was a lift day. That plus a little bit I did at the gym. I've already gotten 6,500, 7,000 steps in. So really to get over 10 or ideally over 12, me walking to the parking lot and walking on the street, which I have to do today to go to the restaurant I'm going to and doing all that's going to knock it out. So when I come back and I have to do work, it's not like I have to be like, oh, go walk. But adding those steps was good. And even consciously, like Jody, I'll tell you one thing. I have a lot of phone calls for work. Now I grab my phone or even my computer and I will stand up if I'm doing a Zoom call or a phone call or I'm on the laptop, I will literally walk around with it. And I've got my monitoring in my pocket or in my hand. Even if I said today's a busy day, I did my workout, my 10,000 steps is going to get in because literally while I'm conducting that meeting, it's a walking meeting within my office. And I look and I'm like, oh, you just did 800 steps because you were walking around your office or your apartment.
Yeah, certainly hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Yeah, people are like, if someone's like, oh, you're moving or whatever, or I go off camera, like, why are you walking? I'm like, dude, I'm getting the steps in. You should try it. And so it inspires too, because I have a colleague of mine who I work with, and he's like, man, I need to get back in shape. And he's like, dude, even when you're having a meeting with me, you're on your computer and you're walking around and moving. And so, yeah, get moving. The only thing that I'm not good at, and I think I've always been, I'm not a heavy sleeper. These guys will say 7 hours a day, and they're completely right. But you also know your own body a bit. You guys can probably tell I had no coffee. You see how energy I am, okay? Like, that's just the way I am. I don't sleep what I know in autonomy. autonomy in the program, like, and they're right that you should sleep that much. But if I sleep for more than 6.5 hours, I'm sluggish. So I learned to adjust to my own body of, hey, even without stimulant and all that, you're more high energy. Okay, fine. Get your rest in and then get going. And that's really been helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly sometimes like we underestimate the power of the steps in our weight loss journey. And also it's kind of like a mental barrier for a lot of people where they think like 10,000 steps is kind of like a monster or something like extremely hard to achieve. But like you mentioned, a lot of tweaks that you have incorporated into your day were like, I'm going to take a call while walking. I'm going to walk to the gym. These are things probably like we did not have before, or we feel like we...
Yeah, I'd be sitting at my desk before. And now, and here's the thing, I think it was Tony Robbins said, the whole motion creates emotion. I actually find that, look, you have 3 days a week I'm lifting, 2 days a week I'm doing other cardio, 2 days I'm off. Sometimes I end up doing 3 days of cardio. I'm like, oh, I want to do it. But usually it's 2. So like yesterday was 1. But okay, fine. Yesterday I got plenty of walking in earlier. And I realized I was like 4,000, 3,500 steps short of what I wanted at the end of the day after dinner. Just went on a walk, did a phone call with family. And so I think it's just about, if you want to do that and you make it happen. To be honest, like in my case, I've been focused on the lifting and the working out. But I'm sure, Jody, you have clients for whom they do that, but it's a different focus. But guys, even just doing the steps alone is going to help you so much, let alone the other parts of the program. And once in a while, if you're eating a little bit more or a little bit more junky, like if I knew that I'm going to going to this get together or whatever, tomorrow's a cardio day. And I'm going to need to make sure that besides it being a cardio day, include the cardio plus that, I'm going to need like 13,000 steps. Okay. Maybe 14 because it's my friend's birthday and he's having this like Indian restaurant that's really nice catered. And I'm going to still eat healthy there, but I know I'm going to have a little naan. I'm going to have a samosa and all that. So I'm like, okay, you know what? That's what you're doing that day. Lunch is going to be super healthy and pretty light. And dinner, yeah, it might be a little more, but I'm going to have more steps. And so it's going to kind of work out.
Yeah, balances out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And certainly having that mindset as well into how you approach your day and how you structure your day as well, so that you don't leave yourself to surprises, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also what you keep, for me, one thing is what do you keep in your fridge? What do you keep around? Like, okay, now I keep a little bit more fruits for that snack, which is now going to become the protein. Or having, hey, like Jody knows because he sees it. I love like mushrooms, okay? Artichokes, that sort of stuff. And not those kind of mushrooms, guys. The healthy kind of, but, I just realized that. But the thing is, doing that and what you put around you is that. And if you need a little bit of condiment or something on the side, all the meal plans they put together for you, all of them provide for that sort of thing. So, okay, you have your tablespoon of this. All right, your tablespoon of chutney if you need it. All right, throw a little bit of that or a little bit of tiny bit of the peanut sauce on your salad or your whatever, and you'll be good. So it's learning that, yeah. Because if it's unflavorful and you hate it, you're not going to eat it and you're not going to stick to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that actually takes me to my next question, Shiva, is that what did you feel helped you remain consistent throughout this journey so far?
So honestly, a few things. One of them was monitoring and checking with you, but I'm still confident that even the question becomes, oh, well, when you're done with the program, what happens? But I feel pretty confident that once I'm done with the program, I now know how to eat and I know that it's possible for me to have that type of body or get there. So it's something I value. So I think that support and that consistency of, I don't want to like let myself down or even like Jody, like, look, he's in great shape. It's not going to directly impact him if I don't do it, but I'm like, hey, like he's putting his time and his support behind me. So how can I kind of do that? So having that, and also what do I expect for myself? Now I'm like, you know what? You want this for yourself. You want it to be a certain way. This is what your standard is. Like I have a standard in my own life. If someone hires my law firm for a case, what am I going to deliver for them? Or in my family life, what do I deliver in the various ways? So for me, it's like, what do you deliver into yourself? And the other thing is, I think one thing that helps me is, once you get to like the age of 40 and then you kind of see people that are in your life or people you know around, you really start to see the people who don't take care of themselves. I hate to say it, especially when they get in their 50s. The people who are not taking care of themselves in late 30s and early 40s, it's so sad. Some of them, when they get older, I see guys or gals, I see guys who are like 48, but they look like they're getting closer to 60 because they're not taking care. And I understand they may have medical condition, all that, but there's a good portion of it that is people not eating right or doing whatever. And so for me, I want to be going into, hey, like, I can keep growing. I can play with the kids. I can do this. And to do that, I realized that my body is not what it was. At age 24, 25, I could eat almost anything and I'd be fine. But that's not the case now. And so how do I continue that? Or age 24, you didn't have to go lift and do all this. I just play sports, do whatever, that would do it. Today, it's not like I'm going to be in the dorms with my friends in college going and playing basketball. So I need to find ways to do it. So yeah, I think I'll sustain it because I've come to expect a certain standard for myself. And I haven't yet hit my goal, but I'm going to hit my goal in the next several months. And I'll be like, dude, you know what it's like to look like this or to go to the beach or go wherever and you feel like this, you have a certain energy level, you look a certain way. Well, once you experience that, it's like if some guy like gets really rich or he travels somewhere really cool, he's not going to start traveling to places that are boring to him now, or he's not going to start being like, oh, I made a bunch of money now. You know what? I mean, I know a life happens, I'm just going to say, oh, I don't need anything. Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to be like, yeah, I want some nice things. Same thing with your body and with health. I think that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, absolutely. That certainly is correct, actually. I'm interested to hear as well this, Shiva. What is next for you? We're close to getting to our goal, close to what we have set for ourselves when we first started. What do you feel is going to be next for you? What do you feel will satisfy you as a person as well
Great
with your
question.
goals?
It's funny because I was thinking about that myself. I said, let's say another 2 months, 3 months. Okay, you tighten up the stomach some more. Keep doing that. You keep building definition. I think for me, it would just be continuing to remain the same size weight wise or around that, but building more definition. And I understand there are limitations to it of age and genetics, but I don't think that based on the way I'm going and the improvement I've already seen, I think even in a couple months, I don't think I would have hit the peak of this is the most I can lift or this is the most of that I can do. Like, I still think that I'm going to stay that size, keep eating nutritious, and okay, how much does my bench press go up? How much does it? We're not in like the powerlifting like phase of like doing that, but seeing how that goes up. And then after that, I think just probably trying to maintain it. I think that, and Jody has said this, I think the next few months, I still have some more room to improve, but I think once I get there, it's going to be about just sustaining it. And particularly, as age and time goes, like, okay, how do I continue having that lifestyle and going to the gym and getting to work? Because the workout I just did, like with the proper breaks and everything, I took about an hour and 40 minutes. And it's great for the day. It clears your head. It does all that. How do I continue preserving those things in my life and doing it and implementing it is really going to be what it's about. I'm realistic. Like, I'm not trying to go like Mr. Olympia and like be doing that, like I do that, but I do want to say that I want to have the body consistently in shape. And as I get older, I want to be able to say that, hey, a lot of people use it as an excuse, guys. Not to knock anyone else. People use, oh, I got older. It's an excuse. Health issues happen. 100% understand that. If you don't, outside of those, if someone is just out of shape and they're like, oh, I'm getting older, it's like, okay, dude, but like the gym I go to near my parents' house that I go once a week when I visit, there's a guy who's a dentist who is 63, 64 and is in great shape and lifting more than a lot of the younger guys. His wife comes sometimes too. She's in great shape. They eat well. I'm like, what's my excuse when this guy's 63, 64, he just became a grandfather and he's able to still keep doing it?
Yeah, it certainly motivates you, in a different way that, I want to get to that age and be able to look like this person.
And I see how old he is because I'll see this gentleman's named Robert, call him Rob once in a while, but like, oh, what are you up to? And he's like, oh yeah, wife and I, or kid, grandkid, whatever, we're going to go on a little vacation and we're going to go to the beach here. We're going to go to Argentina. And I think he did one, he was in Patagonia and do that. Unfortunately, there's not that many people who are his age who are able to go and hike in the mountains for Patagonia for a day or two and do it. But he looks great and feels great because he takes care of himself and he still continues doing it. He even told me, he's like, he only really got into working out about 25 years ago. So late 30s, early 40s. But I look at that and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, if he can do it, then there's still room for you to keep improving and maintaining and growing.
Exactly. No matter what your age is, right? Yeah, absolutely. So that takes me to my last question for the day, Shiva, is that from all your experiences with different programs or different things that you have tried and with this program as well, which you have been seeing like huge success as well, what are 3 tips that you would give to somebody who is just starting?
Okay. So someone who's just starting. So first one is, if you're debating doing the program or not, assuming your finances, and I think this is very reasonably priced, most of you can afford it. If not, try to save for it because it'll save you a lot of money and stress in the long run. I know that things seem, I don't know how you guys found it. I found it on Instagram and I rarely buy things on Instagram. Okay. I really don't, except that I kept seeing and engaging with the content and saw people I know who follow it. And then I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I had to call. If you're thinking about doing it, you're waffling, then yeah, I would say do it because if you're willing to commit. The second thing is, this is one that I struggled with and I still do. Realize that for the most part, you're going to have good days in progress if you want to, but you're not perfect. No one is perfect. You're not like, if you end up one day or once a week, you end up eating something that's not as good and you do this, assume and give yourself the space that assume there's going to be a bit of that, but you're going to get back on the horse and keep going and that you can still be healthy and enjoy yourself a little. So embrace that and realize it because some of the stuff I did in previous weight loss, or I would see these meals that all these bodybuilding guys would eat and they would just be eating the chicken breast with this. Okay, I don't know. Maybe they grew up in a house where nobody cooked good food. I didn't. I grew up in a house where we have amazing food. So I said, how do I continue to preserve that and still enjoy things? So I'd say, assume that you're going to have a bit of that, but you're still going to stay consistent. I'm going to make it 4. Sorry, I know you said 3. But
go ahead, yeah.
The third one is, folks, we don't come from a culture, if we're being honest, where lifting weights, and a lot of cultures are not. Weightlifting and all this is really, Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping iron and that sort of thing is really when this came about. It's not your great-grandparents were doing it 100 years ago, but they might have been doing more labor and more out there. I'd say, and I think this applies to both women and men, don't hesitate to get in the gym, start lifting, start doing that. Your coach will assign it. In my case, I enjoyed it. I like lifting weights. It clears my head. I'm one of the few who goes with no headphones, just like to go and do it. Don't be hesitant or don't feel weird about going to the gym. You need your coach to tell you, hey, have someone video video you a few times, see how you're doing. If you need to watch videos, the app has the YouTube videos. I can remember a few times I watched that, and then before I went the next time, I was Googling other ones, looking at form. Even one time on the squats, even asked a guy who is a cool guy at the gym who's pretty experienced and said the same thing as Jody would and showed me. So don't hesitate to engage with the gym. It's so sad if someone gets intimidated by, oh, there's all these big, strong girls or guys here, I'm not going to do it. Everyone's on their own journey, and you're on your journey, and most people in the gym are super cool and super nice. If they're not, choose a different gym. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. Most gym people, genuine people if you engage. I'm in Los Angeles, which has a reputation for not having those people, and the gym people are still the coolest ones I meet. So go to the gym and do your athletics. And then as far as food, guys, don't embrace the internal mindset. This is the fourth one. We're just like, this is our genetic type. This is the way it is. If you're on Instagram, first of all, you look at these guys in the program and see some of their students and what they've done. And it's not like all these people have time to just hang out and work out all day. There's a guy, I'm forgetting his name, who's super ripped, who's a doctor at some amazing hospital in the US, and he got himself into crazy shape in the program. And I guarantee you there's no doctor walking around the hospital who looks like him, okay? He's an Indian guy, a South Indian guy like me, who are known for not having those genetics. And yet look at him, or look at what I'm doing or other people are doing. So don't accept that, oh, your genetics and this. Yeah, there's a thing, okay? Maybe you don't have the genes that you're going to go play in the NFL or you're going to go play Major League Soccer, but can you be in great shape and look good and feel good? Yeah, you could totally do it, because I'm already seeing the results, and I think that I'm going to be at that point in where I want to be soon. And so just don't believe the narrative of, oh, yeah, I know everyone in your family, they're skinny fat, all right? A lot of them might have the gut sticking out, but they're slim otherwise. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't mean that you have to be that too. You don't. You can be like the one person in your family who's whatever body type you want. In my case, I told Jody, I'm like, I don't need to get super big. I just want to be toned. Some of you might want to drop a little weight, and then your journey's more, you want to bulk up and push muscle, especially some of the younger guys. I know that's what they want. Well, you know what? This program, and you can get there. But don't believe that, oh, it's just my mindset. Because the truth is, even outside this program, you go on Instagram and stuff, there's plenty of South Asians, including people back in India, who are into fitness, and you see them, and these girls and these guys are in great shape and doing it. It's about changing our mindset, because that's an excuse to say, oh, because of my genetics, I can't do it. I live in Los Angeles, one of the most diverse places in the world. We have every kind of person who's in the gym, and all different body types, ages, health conditions, whatever. All of them are pushing and doing it. So go engage and be around those people and improve your diet, and don't believe that your genetics or the way your family was is your destiny, because it's not.
That's absolutely fantastic, man. Very, very insightful. Really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and your success so far. I really believe that this is going to inspire a lot of people as well going forward. So really appreciate you taking the time, Shiva.
Of course, Jody, thank you for having me. And anyone who's thinking about on the fence, go do it. You're going to thank yourself later.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and really looking forward to that next phase together.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome.